always nice to bring them in because you guys, you pray for them, you hear us pray for them, and you don't get to see them and know what they're doing. So what's really cool is we have an opportunity to hear from the missionaries in Romania. With everything going on in Ukraine, you're going to hear a lot of cool stuff regarding that. Now, we have a special relationship with this set of missionaries because we're related. Not only as brothers and sisters in Christ, but their son, who I'm blessed to have as a son-in-law, is married to my beautiful princess. So it's Sydney's husband. So if I can, I'll bring up and we'll pray again, and we will get on with it. Really interesting stuff, though. You guys will be blessed. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I pray for my friends, my brothers and sisters in Christ, and all that's going on in Ukraine. I pray that our ears are open to hear what they have to say, our hearts to receive this, and just we are blessed, Lord. Thank you for bringing them here safely. And on the return trip home, we pray for them. We pray that those people that in Ukraine, Romania, that are so blessed by their being there, that you prepare them for their return. We thank you in your Son, Jesus Christ's name.
Last service, Rich asked if I had a joke to start off with, and I was thinking of one actually as you were talking about the marriage conference and stuff coming up. And, if you've been married 50 years or whatever, well, there was this marriage conference going on for men, and this one old Italian guy was there, and they found out he'd been married 50 years. And they're like, wow, what, 50 years? Do you have any kind of, something for the rest of us to help us go along? And he says, for the 25th anniversary, I take my wife to Italy. And they're like, well, that is wonderful. They said, if you did that for your 25th, what are you going to do for your 50th? He says, I go back and I pick her up. So there you go. Yeah. Anyway, we are Phil and Rhonda Barnes. We've been in this area here for Aransas Pass since May, I guess, of 2004.
He got here in May. I think I got here in June. We had to sell the house, the whole
the
mess.
But anyway, over the past time, we've raised 3 children and started really praying about what God wanted us to do. And over about a 5-year period, it kind of took a while, but he called us into missions over in Romania. And so we kind of want to start off with just a little bit of sort of how we got there, through some of the verses that God gave us as we prayed about all of this. And the one I've always gone to, is James 1:27, which says that religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unstained from the world. And as I was doing a little bit of research on this, because I always wonder, what's a pure religion? Well, we have to look at things in context. And especially with us ministering over in Romania, we have to look at things in a different culture. And so in the context of this, we think of religion as the church, the big buildings, the crosses, and the Hail Marys and all of that kind of stuff. This type of religion, what they were talking about was true worship. How do you continue, not only just singing and all of that worship, but doing these types of things is also a way of worshiping God. And talking about practical benevolence. And when you go and you minister to the orphans and the widows and stuff, that's just an extension of what God does for us. And how we go along and we do that. The other thing is by doing this, it's keeping us unstained from the world, because we don't have time to focus on all of this bad junk and everything else that is coming around trying to get us or whatever, if we are out there ministering to these people and trying to seek what God, it says that, God was a father to the fatherless and a judge of the widows in his holy habitation. It says that there in the Bible. And so this is what we have been called to do, is to minister to these orphan and abandoned children over in Romania. And so anyway.
My beginning walk with the Lord was because I was a mess. a sinful mess. I always think about Paul, how he said, I'm the worst of sinners. And so when Jesus got a hold of my heart, I wish I could say I was automatically changed, but it was a little, he got my house and he cleaned a little closet here, and then he dusted under the cabinets, and then he worked on the living room. And even when I was older, we felt unsettled. We moved to Rockport so we could just be settled, retire, got that done, there. And God had other plans. We just had this unsettled feeling. So for 5 years, like you said, we've been praying and praying and praying, and God just said, I'm going to send you. And I was like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? But when you walk with the Lord, he has you where you are. You do what you can where you are. He says to start in Jerusalem. And I think a well-worn Bible is a really good thing. I've left it here because it's my blankie Bible. And I was afraid it would fall apart or get lost in my luggage, and then I would never see it again. So
that's her old grandma Bible, is what it is. That's our grandkids are going to look at that one of these
That's
years.
right. I want it. Yeah. But through our walk, God is, he speaks with his word. And this is, I didn't read this one earlier, but God told me to read it now. He did what was right and just, so all went well with him. He defended the cause of the poor and the needy. And so, is that not what it means to know me, declares the Lord? It is. And this is one of my favorite verses, and it's amazing how God reminds you of these verses when he's calling you to do something different. He puts these words in your heart. And this is at the end of Jesus' life. He's calling for things at the end, and he's, when somebody's about to die, they tell you really important things, and you got to really pay attention. And this was, I think I'm wrong. Yeah. When he says something before he goes, you really got to pay attention. And so this is what he was speaking to me so many times. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? And the king will reply, I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me. And I never thought I would invite strangers into my home, but we've invited several. And it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, some a little stranger than others, but anyway.
But you find you love them all.
Yeah. And when we start to think about, orphans and all of this, we have things in common with them. Even Christ himself, before he, left, he said, I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. And so Christ is coming again for us. We're right there with them. So we're going to kind of go on a little bit about some of our little factoids or whatever you want to call them. Anyway, we first arrived in September of 2018 to Romania, serving with Stepping Forward Ministries. We were serving as interns, and then after that we came back to the States for a few months and went for the entire month of October. We were at a pre-field orientation so that we could learn how to better serve as missionaries in the country that we were going to. And so they was the Center for Intercultural Training, and so they help you in dealing with other cultures and everything. Because we've got such a Western mindset that we go in, we think our U.S. way is the best way, and you got to do it this way, and whatever, and that's not always the case. And so we wanted to be able to minister to people at their heart level. We've been serving as full-time missionaries with them since 2020. Right about, like I said, just prior to BC, before COVID. We're now in the post-apocalyptic whatever thing of COVID, and who knows this. But we've been ministering to the orphan and abandoned children in several cities in Romania. We help with a summer camp. That's one of those things. Please pray for us. We're planning right now to have 7 weeks of camp. And so that's when you start getting a little older and you're up at 6:30 in the morning and you don't get to bed until after midnight, doing that every night or every day for a week. And then you spend the weekends doing laundry and cleaning up and getting ready for the next week and stuff. So it gets a little bit interesting.
Drink a lot of Active, that's for sure.
Coffee.
I wish I drank coffee, but I don't.
Yeah. But then as we've been there ministering, God has really given us a heart for the aged out orphan girls.
You know, I was at a mission meeting and I threw up my hands and said, I just want to go hold babies in Romania. I was like, I did not say that. You know, you look over your shoulder like, who said that? It wasn't me. And then I met a Romanian, didn't think anything of it. Met another Romanian. And I was like, I think God's trying to tell me something here. And sure enough, I met a third Romanian. So we as a church went to Romania. And I thought I was going to go hold babies, but God has totally shifted our heart and what we need to do, and it's with the aged out orphans. A lot of times they get out at 18, and they don't have a lot of opportunity for school. They finish a 5th to 8th grade education a lot of times. It's not like they can take a GED. It's just super complicated, unfortunately. And so God has called us to work with the aged out. We'll share a little bit more.
Yeah. As far as like the girls, a lot of them, they get out, if they haven't gotten into college, they don't have a lot of opportunities. And so they end up either finding some guy that they think is going to fulfill them and get them out of there or whatever. Many times they get pregnant or whatever, or they end up in the sex trade industry, you know, as prostitutes or in phone or whatever. Anything they can do to try to make some money, you know. So it's very disheartening or whatever to see, you know, we try to pour into these girls and tell them, you know, show them the love of Christ, and then still see them make some of these mistakes down the road or whatever. But we've got a vision for a transition home that we want to bring them in and try to, you know, work with them, get them ready for life. They've been in these orphanages. They've been given everything. You know, their food, their clothing, their all of this stuff. They have no skills. They're not taught how to cook, to clean, to do all of this. You know, but we want to call this Casa Estera because we think of Esther and her being an orphan. And it says here in Esther 2:7, it says, he was bringing up Hadassah, that is Esther, the daughter of his uncle, for she had neither father nor mother. The young woman had a beautiful figure and was lovely to look at. And when her father and her mother died, Mordecai took her as his own daughter.
And so we want to bring them into this home. You know, we minister to them. We have about 5 apartments with our team that are all over the city. It's a city of 2 million people. Literally takes me an entire day sometimes just to do one appointment. It's a very difficult thing. And if we bring them in, we can be their parents. We can love on them and show them how to cook, how to clean, how to have relationships with each other and with boys, and, you know, the most important thing, though, is that they have to know how much God loves them, and we can't do that if we're not pouring the Bible into them every single day.
Yeah, and one of the things we've discovered right before we left to come back here is it's even more of a need because God has been bringing the Ukrainian refugees that we have come into contact with, guess what? Aged out orphan girls.
Yeah.
So, like I said, a lot of times, you know, you're asking God, hey, give me a sign, you know, billboard would be really nice out on the highway, whatever. Yeah, God did. And so this is where we're trying to work with now. Some of what this is kind of who we started with when we started ministering, were the orphans in the system, is what they kind of call them. These are ones that from small up to about 18 years old, living in either apartments or orphanages or whatever. Like we've started working with ones in Sector 4, and like we try to talk about, Bucharest itself is kind of like a big pizza pie. And you've got all your little slices and stuff like that, and so it's really small here, but then it widens out. There's about 8 sectors, I think it is, and we work with Sector 4. There's about 200 orphans there that we could be working with. but
Yeah.
we don't have the team, we don't have the space, we don't have all, the hours and the days. So we minister to who we can, and we've been working with about 40 to 50 of those kids recently.
And what does the Bible say about that? When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. Phil and I know we can't handle this house on our own 24/7. It's a lot. I mean, there's problems. Like, we come here to America and we're still getting messages on the phone because there's problems. And so we're praying for other missionaries. That's something else that y'all can pray for on,
Yeah.
You're never too old, never too young.
Yeah, that's
Why am I looking at them? That's what they're asking.
When we first started in this, yeah, we came up with "He's Not Finished." We were both. She had just turned 50, and I was about to turn 50 when we went over there. And you wouldn't think that, this is when we're going to be starting something completely new and different.
See, God said he's not finished with us until we take our last breath. He's going to continue to use us on this earth.
Yeah. So a lot of what we do with the kids, we play games with them. We do have little fun things. Just hang out. They just enjoy us being there for them. And like they say, a lot of times it's that people, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so we've tried to do that with these kids, have fun with little parties with them, Christmas time. Yeah, they love taking their pictures. They do the little Romanian girl selfie pose with the duck lips and all of this, and the feet out like this, and
And then Phil mimics them.
I mimic them, and then they start.
Such a kook.
Yeah.
This is our office, and we have the orphans in the system we bring to our office twice a week, different girls, and we talk to them. We've had anti-trafficking classes, and because it's super important for these girls to know what to look for. And we bake cookies. We teach them how to cook a little bit. We're trying to bring them in. Unfortunately, we don't have enough days in the week to minister to all 200. We're ministering to those about 45. And we do buy Christmas gifts, and we buy birthday gifts. So when you give to us, pretty much all of it, yes, we have rent. Of course, our apartment's being used. Our car is being used. Everything that we have, I've realized every dollar that we have is God's. It's not ours. And so he uses it how he wants to use it. And so we do supply Christmas and birthdays, and they feel very special that we actually do their birthday. And on a side cultural note, you come here, you buy a cake from the deli or wherever, right? And it's a certain price. Well, over there, it's not by the pound.
It's by the kilo.
Kilo. I don't do
So
weights.
they weigh the cake, and then you pay according to how much the cake weighs.
So I've learned to buy whipped topping strawberry as opposed to chocolate, because I was like, how much was that cake? I'm trying to make cakes, but the butter's different. Cream cheese, even though it's Philadelphia, is different. I'm working on it, because it would be a lot cheaper if I could make cakes, and I think they would enjoy a little bit of special made, homemade something.
Yeah. Like I said, they love just hanging with us and getting pictures taken.
And shopping is my spiritual gift, and so it's a good thing because I buy Christmas, I buy birthdays, I buy school supplies, I buy, stuff for the orphanage like laundry detergent and things that they need on occasion. And Christian books, I was able to find some Romanian Bibles and coloring books with verses, and it's been good.
Yeah. Like we said, this one, the boys, they love the little Machina Telecomanda, which is remote control cars and everything. This little one here, about 30 seconds after this picture was taken, it got stepped on. So we had to go get him another one. And, they love the big bears.
Plush.
We call her Boo, because that's who exactly, if any of you have ever seen Monsters, Inc., remember little Boo? That's Boo. Mm-hmm. But she's not so little Boo anymore.
She's already 9. I can't believe it.
Yeah. And then this, Rhonda, you want to explain your...
So we need you to pray for our language because it's difficult. There's 6 words for one present tense verb. So that's 6 words to memorize for one verb. It's kind of difficult, but I said, do you want me to do your hair? And then all of a sudden they're putting me in the chair and straightening my hair. I said, I got something wrong in there. So we have fun, but we're hanging out. And we had some church members make hats, and his sister made some hats and scarves to help, because it is very cold there. Just hanging out. We do crafts. We put a verse on the craft. We try to tie in the season, the craft, and what God says about things. And
Like I said, we do
Here's
birthday
birthdays.
parties. There's one of those little
The
cakes.
heavy
the
chocolate
heavy
cake.
chocolate cake, yeah. Have fun with the little birthday games with them and other things. We love it when it's nice outside. They've got a nice little play area out there, where like a big basketball court and stuff. And we go in there. Their favorite game is Peshte Shirikini, which is basically sharks and minnows. Is what they love to play, and just run and run and run.
I let them tag me quickly, so I just sit down, and then they come sit next to me. It's fun.
Yeah.
Spirograph. If you have any ideas for crafts, we do crafts all the time. Not only with the kids, we do it with some, the grown-ups, the aged outs, and also with older women. And so we brought the spirograph, and it was so fun. They were sitting there doing the spirograph, and we were teaching them how to do it, because it is difficult, but it's really good for, working with your hands.
Finger dexterity.
Dexterity. And then I looked over a few minutes later, and the caretakers were trying it and doing it. So if you have any ideas, please let me know.
Yeah. These are some of the boys from Sector 4. We got to take them bowling one night, and they had a great time with that. They kept taking our rolls. They're like, "Oh, can I roll for you?" And you just go throw it down. And
We're praying about being able to minister more, because the boys need to know how to be godly men and godly fathers, and so that will help with the girl issue too.
yeah, we tried the 4-person push-up with the girls the one night, and they had just doing different things with them. Just
Phil
trying to
is the
enjoy.
only man right now on our team that's working with those kids, so it's been difficult.
This actually is one of the Ukrainian refugees that came to us, and right after they came, we were like, "Look, we have to go to Urzichen to go." It was our weekend to go there, so you're going to come with us. And so they had really been kind of depressed and everything else, and it was nice to get them involved. And they love to do hair and nails and all of that kind of stuff. And like we talked about when it talks about the religion pure and undefiled. When you're actually doing something that brings God joy and brings you joy or whatever, it takes away all of these other things that could be, controlling your mind.
They were so sad that morning, but boy, they cheered up helping and everything. And this one in the gold sweater, she was like, and I was surprised I heard her, because the language barrier is still working. We're working on it, but she was like, "Oh, I wish I was a Ukrainian orphan." And I was like, "Why on earth would you say that?" And she just kind of shied up a little bit. And I said, "It's because you want to live with us, isn't it?" She's like, "Yes." And so we're hoping to take them from these organizations, the government facility, to us. That will hopefully help them not to go into all the other stuff that they feel like they have to go into.
Yeah. And like I said, we do Camp Living Water. It's a camp that's out at the foothills of the Carpathian Mountains. Just a beautiful area. Mm-hmm. It's great in the summer because it'll get down into the 40s or 50s at night, and then up to about 80 or so during the day. But we host large groups of kids. We had missed one year. We actually did it this past year. We had 5 weeks of camp. This coming year, like I said, we're going to be doing 7. We have the best time that we have to be able to try to minister to these kids and to give them the gospel and everything is during these small group times. When they're on our property, we're allowed to present the gospel to them. If we're on theirs, it's, we have to kind of be a little bit different with it, how it happens. But it really was a blessed time this past year working with these kids and just hearing some of what's going on in their hearts and their lives and trying to speak into them. Of course, we always have, these fun games and stuff with them. We'll have game time during the morning. We'll have an afternoon event thing, and then we'll do nighttime games. We did a color run with Girls Week. They had a lot of fun with that. And then we introduced them to human foosball, which was quite fun. Like I said, I think they broke about 6 balls during the last year, so I'm going to be in the process.
Even the big yoga balls that
the big
you
yoga,
exercise.
heavy duty yoga ball. They popped that thing
fun.
in there. So But yeah, they had a fun time with that.
We always have at the end of the week, what did you love? What did you love about it? Because of COVID, we couldn't have camp. And last year, you know what they said? The hugs and the smiles, just being able to be with them, being able to be at camp. Usually it's the food, the games, whatever. But this year it was the hugs and the love that we were able to give them. And we weren't afraid to hug them. A lot of people are afraid to hug after COVID, and I get it, but they needed hugs and they wanted hugs, and so we did.
Yep. And like I said, we do a worship time with them and everything, and do different things. This past year, it was taste and see that the Lord is good. And so it was all about different tasting and stuff. And so they had little object lessons. And they would have them blindfolded and taste whether it was sour or sweet or salty or whatever. And so we do crafts with them, which is then we can introduce. They have a Bible verse that they have to say every day. And they get a bracelet for that, which then they can go later on in the day, and we have a store. And they can get candy and chips and whatever with it and stuff. So they really work hard to say those verses. And like you see just how beautiful the camp is during summertime when the grass is green and everything. And back up in those hills behind there, yes, there are wild boars and there's bears, and I've got a picture of a big old bear print right there by camp and stuff like that, but it's just a great place to be.
And actually at camp right now, there's several Ukrainian families. They were able to buy heaters because of donations, and they put them in the cabins, and we're able to host them even now.
Yeah.
That's what they're in a hurry for us to come back and help. We, again, the billboards that God keeps sending, these are aged outs, or they're either orphaned, in foster care, or village kids. And I was in charge of the staff this year, and we just had a great time, and I got to minister to them. And even now, when are you coming back? We miss you. And so it's sweet to work with them.
Yeah, we also do have other extra ministry opportunities. There's a church in one of the local villages that we've been working with since 2016. We did a vacation Bible school that they brought in kids from about 7 different villages around them. It's Pastor Marian and his wife Coca and their daughter Maria.
And we do love them, not only because they feed us all the time, but
Yeah.
that is a definite benefit of
Yeah, like I
they
said,
cook really
Pastor
good.
Marian was a chef in the Romanian army back in the 80s and stuff, so he does pretty good food. We were able to continue to minister to some of these kids that we had back in 2016, did a Christmas party with them. Was able to give them some gifts.
And I work with some of the older ladies in the church, and we do crafts and a devotional, and we talk about their lives and, the depression and all the different things that happens, and it's a great time that we get to have. And we, when the aged outs actually come to Bucharest to go to school or whatever, some of them, we invite them over, and we have to give them a Texas hamburger because they love it, and they always ask for that. And these are the missionaries that we worked with at first. They've been called off the field and they're working, but they're still coming and helping translate, and they're very dear friends of ours.
Yeah, and this here is actually a home that's up. We have two of our other team members are ministering up in the northern part of Romania, and this little mountain range that you can kind of see in the background there, that actually is Ukraine. They're that close to where it is, and so they've been ministering to people coming across the border quite a lot. Like I said, it was very cold. We had to push a car twice. It got stuck going up a hill with the snow and ice, and so that was...
When you tell God you don't like cold, he laughs.
Yeah.
It's actually been good. So this couple that's ministering, she's American, she married a Romanian, good friends of ours. This baby the week prior was in plastic, wrapped in plastic to keep it warm and to keep it dry, which I'm like, it's not going to keep that baby dry. And so our team member went and bought clothes and blankets and things for the baby. And you can see how small the building is. It's about half the size, if not smaller.
Yeah, probably quarter of
and
this almost.
they line the walls with beds, and they have blankets and pillows on there, and then they have their cooking stove. But they have to go outside to use the old style
Outhouse.
I was like, the old style potty. But they're getting to minister to them, and we got to visit where they are, what they're doing. because of communism, I think, it's all gray and dark. And I love the colors. I absolutely love it. And Romania is all about color. And it helps to brighten things. And so they use these rugs. No matter how poor they are, they love the color. This is some friends of ours, dear friends of ours. We have, you want to point at Travis?
Yeah.
If you'll pray for him, he just got back to Romania, but his wife is still here with their girls. She's having a lot of physical problems, and so they need to figure out what's going on with her so that they can reunite. And then Jamie and Andrea. Andrea is Romanian, and Jamie's from South Carolina. I was thinking North. South Carolina. And these are two of their kids. They have another little girl, but they came over, and they have actually started Lost and Found Fellowship. It's a Calvary Chapel church, and it's exciting because it's a very safe place for orphans to come. We were going to the International Church of Bucharest, and they are still our home church there in Bucharest, but we've gone over to this church so that we can bring our orphans in. They speak Romanian, and
so church services in both English and Romanian.
Both English and Romanian. And so it's really good for us to get fed, and they're getting fed, and we can bring any kids in. It's a safe place. You were going to talk about the...
Yeah, like I said, they are Calvary. They did lose some funding recently, like a lot of places. So if you pray if you would see about possibly helping them out or something, I know they would certainly appreciate it. They're doing a wonderful work over there, trying to find different ways to be able to minister to these kids, and because so much of over there it's Orthodox, and so there's this. It's just a completely different mentality regarding relationship with Christ. And so they're trying to work really hard with these kids to get them to that point.
We have Bible study. If you're staying in our house or you're staying under our care, like I said, we have about 4 or 5 apartments. We buy them groceries, we pay rent, we pay water, we pay electricity. We support them in any and every way possible. And we try to help them to get a small business, because trying to go back to school is very difficult, and they'd have to be in the top 30% anyway. And so it's just super difficult. But this is one of the Bible studies that we do every Wednesday. It's like, if you are in our care, you come to a Bible study. If you're in our home, you go to church. It's end of discussion. If you don't like that, then, we try not to make a lot of rules. They're grown-ups. They're adults. But these are two that we don't bend on. She was trying to bend down and eat her cake, but she went to church. I said, well, if you don't come to church today, you don't get your birthday cake. Sorry, but we'll eat it for you. So she showed up. But she's in college. She's super smart. She just moved back to another city, so keep praying for her. And when God told me to take jewelry supplies over there, I had no idea why. I thought, well, Christian women don't wear jewelry. But these girls love making it. You can see several items over here. It's all on the table. 100% of the profit goes to Casa Esteta. We're still raising funds. They stayed with us after a little scare, but this is her little girl. She's just precious, and she's light as a feather. You can literally throw her up and catch her.
She's pixie.
Yeah, and Monica, she's an awesome young lady. She's the designer of most of these things over here, and she just had her baby. We had a baby shower for her, and it's something that they don't normally do. I don't know how they get all the baby stuff, because it's expensive, right, to have a baby and to need all the supplies, but she's gotten into a really good church. And here's the opposites. Monica's decided to follow the Lord, to obey the rules that we have that aren't many, but she's doing really, really well. And the other girl has decided to go after a boy. And so she's struggling every single day. Every day she's like, can I come back? But then she doesn't come back. And so she's in that really hard spot that she knows that we love her, but she's not ready for that final jump. So pray for her. We love on her. We still love on her. And we talk to her all the time. And this is them coming over to our apartment and learning some jewelry making. I have so much that I'm like, y'all are going to have to come to me. But we spent Christmas with them, and she came out of prostitution. A lot of them do. And it's a struggle. She loves to read the Bible. She's at church every Sunday, and yet the devil just constantly hits her, and it's hard for her. So when you think about these aged outs, they need support. They need parents to come alongside them and show them, what does God's word say about you? My heart is broken when they choose wrong, but eventually, the more we pour God's word into them, the more they come back.
Yeah. Like I said, now, not only have we had all of that, now we're dealing with the Ukrainian refugees that are coming across. Last I had read, and it's been a few weeks now, Romania itself was I think we had taken in about 675,000 refugees. Poland is over 2 million taken in, and so there's a lot of that going on. And like I said, what does God do? He brings us the aged out orphans. I think
it's pretty clear what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Who we're supposed to work with.
Because we had told them, we said, look, we have until this day that we're willing to host people, to transition to a plane, to whatever, if they're going somewhere else, something like that. And then this happened, and we were literally the night, we left our apartment at 2:30 in the morning to get on the plane. We were doing laundry until 1:30 in the morning because we were dealing with these girls and stuff.
Well, they wanted to stay with us. I mean, they were just like, I want to stay. I was like, of course, but we have to go to America. We're trying to raise funds for this house so that you can move in with us. And so they're staying and they're waiting for us. But we got them settled into other ministries and other friends, so they're doing really well. One day, Sarah and I, she's our team member, we took them to get a phone card, to get shoes, to get clothes, because when they came over, they only had a backpack. They walked for hours just to get to the border. And so we were trying to supply some needs, and our church sent us a bunch of journals. Journals are super expensive over there, I don't know why. But our church sent us some, and they love them. They've been journaling, they've been writing, they've been drawing, just to, think about the mental problems that they have. They were already abandoned in their own country. The parents don't want them, and then they have to leave all that they've known there, and then they come, and they have a lot of issues. So we've been taking them around to doctors, and one of them had
frostbite.
I was looking at her blue toes in my head. Frostbite, and then one was pregnant, and so it took several days just to get them the care that they needed.
Yeah, and so we try to, take them in. We played Uno with them. They introduced them to Uno. They loved it, just something to kind of keep their mind off of what was going on. Rhonda got to go with Alia for her first sonogram of the baby, little girl. Yeah. Although I'm not a biologist, I don't know if that's really what. Anyway,
we hosted about 7 that came through, and then we only have a small 2-bedroom apartment, and we're on top of each other. We have one shower, so it's been fun. These girls wanted to be on their own, and somebody offered an apartment. They got on their own. They did not do well. They're young. They don't know how to live life, and so they ended up getting back into a host family. And then they wanted to move back in with us. They were waiting for us to come back. But they found out that they actually have an aunt in Poland, and they're going to travel to Poland now. And so please pray for them, because they don't know what to do. They want to go back to their country, but then they can't. And it's very difficult for Ukrainians right now. I mean, your whole world it would be like everybody leaving America. Where would we go? It would be super difficult.
Yeah, so, we can talk about what's next. We talked about Casa Estera. This is a transition home for reaching these aged out orphan girls. A lot of it is teaching them these life skills. They've been in these orphanages, like I said, and given everything, and so they don't have any skills that they could use, other than TikTok, I guess. But we want to try to be able to bring them in and teach them these things as cooking, cleaning, budgeting, healthy eating, healthy habits. Like Rhonda said, a lot of times these girls are, I've got a headache. I've had a headache for a couple of days. Well, how much water have you drank? None. I had 4 Red Bulls, though. It's like, well, that could be a problem. The other thing is teaching them about CV writing and work ethic. A lot of them, they get a job, and a couple of days later, they're like, well, how's the job going? Oh, I quit it. I didn't like it. There's no stick-to-itiveness there or whatever with them, and so trying to teach them that, hey, things aren't always easy. You're going to have some things that you're going to have to go through. It actually makes you a little bit stronger.
And we have companies there in Romania that are willing to hire the girls even without the 12th grade education, but until we can give them skills, computer skills or whatever, then they will be hireable. So that's definitely one of our goals.
Yeah.
But our main goal is to share Jesus Christ with them. But it's hard when you only see them once a week and do an appointment or whatever. We pour into them as much as we can. But God has given us this vision for this home so that we can daily walk with them.
Yeah, and so right now our current plan is to, when we get back, we'll be dealing with camp and everything, but we're planning to try to find a house that we could rent for about a year while we try to raise additional funds to be able to purchase the land and start the building of the facilities and everything. It'd probably be one of those, we may try to get like a place dried out and then just start working on the inside by floor or whatever.
Having teams come and help.
Yeah, have teams
finish
come and help.
construction.
Stuff like
That'd be
that.
nice.
It's different construction over there because of it's very earthquake prone area and everything. So a lot of them they build with concrete block and all of that. Yeah, we were first there and we had
About a
woke up
month.
one night and I felt it felt our building doing this and I was like, oh, okay. Not used to that one.
We were like in bed and go, what are we supposed to do? I don't even remember. Hurricane we got down, right?
Yeah. So, we're estimating roughly $70,000 for purchase of land. We found a piece that would be really nice near one of our teammates on a good Christian street, actually. And then try to construct the places. We're looking $200,000, $300,000 or so as to what we need for doing that. Where do your donations go? Like Rhonda said, pretty much everything we do is ministry. Even our apartment and our phones and all the internet and everything is being able to utilize to minister to these kids and others.
I wish I would have learned that lesson earlier when I lived here, is that every single dollar is the Lord's. Every single dollar. So, and it's been super eye-opening for us, because when he says, I want you to give and I want you to buy this for them and whatever, I'm like, don't look at the bank account, just go do it, just go do it. And God always brings the funds.
Yeah, so we do rental assistance for some of these kids that need stuff, food, clothing, necessities, doctor's visits, dental visits, a lot of gas being used. And like we said, right now it's about, I think, equivalent of about $7 or better per gallon over there.
Yeah. I know, I feel bad for y'all here because everybody has to use a car, but a lot of times when I have doctor's appointments and I have to go to, one night I think I visited 6 different hospitals just trying to find the doctor that the girl needed, and it was, with language, it was fun.
Yeah, it would be nicer if I was like Fred Flintstone and just use my feet or something like that. It'd be a lot cheaper. But we said birthday and Christmas gifts, school supplies, camp ministries, and, our air and ground travel when we come back and forth here to the States and stuff. What can you do? Biggest thing is just pray. And these are some of the areas that you could pray for us on. They're also on the back. We've got some cards over there. If you'll take 2 cards, there was a little bit of a printing error, but that way you can have to pray for us, and then the requests on the back side. These different things that we've got going on with the refugees, with the orphanage kids. Pray for a blessed and safe camp this summer. We had some spiritual battles that went on last year that really need to be prayed over this year.
A lot.
The finances and stuff, and then pray for our family that's back here and stuff, and pray for these kids that they're waiting for us to come back there. They're ready.
Yeah. My mom broke her hip, so please pray for her. We've been in the hospital, we've been fighting insurance, and it's hard. I prayed, Lord, help me to be there for my mom when I need to be there. And we were here, and sure enough, we were in the house. She just got up, broke her hip, and it's hard to be over there when there's problems here. And so please pray for our families here that they will be taken care of, and people will pitch in and things. And like I said, when we've been living here and we've been ministering here, and that's what God calls us to do, minister in Jerusalem. We all have a calling to love God, love others. What does that look like? How does it, pan out? For us, it was living here. It was ministering in the jail ministry. It was
Youth.
We've been in youth forever. And then God started getting unsettled. But I read this book called Anything. It's opening up your arms, saying, God, whatever it is you want me to do, help me to do it. And I've said this before, I think even here last year, if God gave me everything, how can I not also give him everything? And reading the Bible growing up and everything, 1 John 3:17. This is one of those things that I wish I would have learned earlier. If anyone has material possessions and sees his brother in need but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him? How do we love God if we're not giving, if we're not sharing, if we're not taking care of? If a man shuts his ears to the cry of the poor, he too will cry out and not be answered. We all have something that God is calling us to do. Ephesians 4:1 talks about that, about our calling. And even during COVID, it was difficult to minister the way that we thought we needed to minister to. But boy, God changed it. He changed how ministry looked. But he said, love me, love others. What does it look like? We've talked a lot about how we've been loving others. And it's exciting what God is doing in our midst and how he's not only doing things for the Romanians and the Ukrainians, he's doing it for us. He's growing us even now. I mean, we never stop growing. So,
Anyway, well, thank you for letting us speak with you.
thank you guys. We really appreciate it.